When I boot up Cadillacs and Dinosaurs today, the very first thing that hits me is that unmistakable CPS-1 energy, those bold sprites, that explosive sound design, and the sheer confidence the game radiates before you even touch the controls. I've gone back to this game many times over the years, but this time I wanted to really sit with it, replay it carefully, and evaluate it from a modern perspective. Not just as a nostalgic arcade favorite, but as a beat-em-up standing on its own merits. And honestly, it surprised me how well so many of its core elements still work. The moment the intro plays, the game sets its tone. You're dropped into a world where society has collapsed, dinosaurs roam freely, and humans are locked in chaotic battles over territory and survival. It's a wild premise, but the game commits to it so fully that it becomes part of its identity. And right away, the selectable characters reinforce that identity. Jack, Hannah, Mustafa, and Mess, 4 distinct fighters who genuinely feel different. That alone gives this game a kind of mechanical depth that many arcade beat-em-ups never quite reach. Whenever I pick Jack, everything feels stable and balanced. He's the baseline, the reference point the whole combat system seems structured around. Switching to Hannah changes the tempo completely. She's faster and demands a more aggressive, risky play style. Then there's Mustafa, and playing as him honestly feels like discovering a completely different game. His speed and slide attacks are iconic, and once you master them, you practically glide through enemy lines. And Mess, with his heavy hitting attacks, turns fights into exercises in crowd management and timing. The game nudges you to play differently depending on who you choose, and that adds replay value even now. But none of that would matter if the combat itself didn't hold up, and that's the part that impressed me the most during this revisit. The fundamentals are so tight that the game still feels responsive decades later. Every punch, knee, grab, and slide has clarity. The hit detection is surprisingly reliable. Enemies react with readable animations. The game communicates what's happening on screen in a way that many older beat-em-ups struggle with. And then you start noticing the subtle depth, the directional attacks, the character-specific combos, the way you can cancel certain moves into others, the way you can use momentum to position yourself between enemies. Even the weapons are balanced intelligently. Guns are powerful, yes, but they're purposefully limited so they don't dominate the experience. They're situational bursts of advantage, not a replacement for the core combat loop. During my playthrough, something that stood out was how intentionally enemies pressure you. They don't just wander around waiting to be punched. They flank, they crowd, they corner. You can't sleepwalk through this game. You need movement, timing, and awareness. And the difficulty curve, while steep in places, feels fairer today than I expected. If you're patient and learn enemy patterns, you'll notice the game rewards skill much more than button mashing. Now, talk about this game long enough and you have to mention the dinosaurs. They're not just background noise, they're active hazards that add unpredictable moments to combat. When one charges into the battlefield and starts trampling everything, enemies included, you're forced to react, reposition, and adapt instantly. It's a mechanic that gives the game a chaotic edge, but never feels unfair. Instead, it adds texture and keeps you on your toes. Visually, I was surprised by how well the art direction holds up. Sure, the CPS-1 hardware has its limitations, but the artists compensated through strong design choices, bold outlines, expressive character sprites, vibrant environments, and animations that still look fluid. The comic book influence is unmistakable, giving everything a punchy, stylized look. Even today, the visuals have personality and clarity, something many retro beat-em-ups lost to muddy palettes or stiff animation. The environments deserve credit too. The game takes you through jungles, ruins, industrial zones, vehicle chases, and underground lairs. Each stage feels distinct, and the transitions between them help maintain momentum. There's a sense of narrative flow even though the game doesn't lean heavily on cutscenes or dialogue. The world building is baked into the visuals and enemy designs, and that minimalist storytelling style still works. The sound design also holds up. The music has that energetic, upbeat arcade flair. It keeps the pace high but never distracts from the action. The punch impacts, gunshots, dinosaur roars, they still hit with satisfying weight. There's something timeless about CPS-era audio design, and this game is a good example of why. As I replayed the game, I noticed how tightly paced everything is. There's almost no filler. Each stage introduces something new, whether it's different enemy groupings, altered terrain, or a surprise dinosaur encounter. Even with a small enemy roster, the game mixes them in ways that keep fights interesting. That's something modern beat-em-ups sometimes struggle with. They're packed with content, but the encounters can feel repetitive. Here, every battle feels like a small designed moment. And the bosses? Still iconic. They hit hard, they force pattern recognition, and they look great. Sure, a few of them lean on cheap shots, but that was the nature of arcade design, especially games meant to eat quarters. Yet even then, the fights feel more skill-based than I remembered. If you adjust your spacing and learn their moves, you can beat most bosses without losing a life. Revisiting Cadillacs and Dinosaurs now made me appreciate its structure in a way I didn't before. It's only a short game by modern standards, but it's incredibly replayable. Every run feels like a complete experience, and it's paced in a way that respects your time. There's no bloat, no unnecessary padding, just pure, distilled, high-energy gameplay. From a modern perspective, what struck me is how relevant this design still feels. A lot of beat-em-ups today try to modernize the genre by adding RPG systems, long combo lists, upgrade trees, or deep narrative elements. And while that can be great, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs shows that none of that is necessary for a beat-em-up to feel satisfying, challenging, and fun. Strong fundamentals are timeless. If anything holds the game back today, it isn't the gameplay, it's the lack of a modern, officially supported release. If this game came back with online co-op, leaderboards, achievements, and maybe a polished widescreen presentation, it would find a huge audience. The foundation is more than solid enough to compete with newer titles. Playing it again reminded me why it's so beloved. It's not just the style or the dinosaurs or the over-the-top world, it's the craftsmanship behind the combat, the level flow, the character design, and the overall feel. You don't need nostalgia to appreciate it. You just need to play it long enough to understand how well built it actually is. So yes, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs absolutely holds up today. Not just as a retro curiosity, but as a legitimately strong beat-em-up that still delivers fast action, memorable moments, and a unique world. If you're a fan of arcade titles, or you're looking to explore what made Capcom's golden era so special, this game is still more than worth your time. And if it has been years since you last played it, jumping back in is a great reminder of how far ahead of its time it really was.